Hey, it's David Hutchins, Managing Editor of VOA Middle East with another iPhone QuickTake. Sitting with me now is Jillian York of the Electronic Frontier Foundation, and also a very active person of social media and monitoring the Arab Spring. Thanks for joining us.
Sure, happy to be here.
Okay, can you first of all tell me, how did you get involved with freedom of expression issues, and specifically with the Arab Spring? Did it happen because of the events, or were you interested in the Arab world before?
No, I was already involved in this. I would say that I've always been interested in freedom of expression as an issue, but it really kind of became clear to me when I lived in Morocco from 2004 to 2007 and saw that the actual censorship that was happening online there. Became involved in the blogosphere at the time, and then later parlayed that into an actual career at the Berkman Center, and now at the Electronic Frontier Foundation.
Right. So when you were at Berkman, what kind of stuff, what was the time frame basically, like
2008 to this year.
Okay, and so things were started bubbling up, and then things really happened this year. Did that help focus this kind of stuff you were working on, things that are happening in the Arab Spring?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit, but I was already focused on internet censorship in the Middle East and North Africa, and I'd actually been tracking cases of digital activism there since about 2007.
So what do you think the biggest issues, aside from the Arab Spring, but just in general in terms of internet access, freedom of expression, what are the hurdles in the region?
Well, I think government-level censorship is one of the big ones, but then I think we've also seen lately governments manipulating social media to increase repression against activists and against normal citizens. And then you've also got other issues, such as the sort of counter-narrative happening with possibly paid or possibly not paid pro-regime enthusiasts.
And as you've seen with Egypt, when they actually shut down the internet completely, we're saying that intermittently in Syria. Do you think it's gotten worse since the Arab Spring and since these uprisings?
I mean, certainly there was really very little precedent for it before Egypt. You had a couple of cases in the past in Burma and in, I believe, the Maldives, but there had never really been anything as widespread and pervasive as the shutdown in Egypt. And so now we're seeing it in Libya, and we're seeing it intermittently in Syria as well. And I think that this is becoming a tactic that can only get worse.
You're working at the EFF now. What kind of issues are you specifically working on in your capacity?
Sure. So I direct our international freedom of expression efforts, and that can be anything from government-level censorship to corporate social responsibility of social media companies to things like circumvention technologies and the U.S. Internet Freedom Agenda.
Let's go geeky a little bit. I mean, there are lots of different platforms you can use to try to crowdsource. You have Twitter, YouTube, Ushahidi. We've used all of these. How do you find out what's going on in the country when you're not there and you can't, and the internet may be shut down? I mean, what do you do, and how do you sort of verify so you kind of know what's going on?
Sure. Well, so I think I'm lucky in that when it comes to the Middle East and North Africa, I know someone in just about every country where there's something happening. So I usually rely on those people to help me find better sources and to help me know who I can trust. But when I'm looking at countries outside of the region that I don't know many people in, it's a lot more difficult to kind of get that verification. And so I do use Twitter, but I also rely on friend of a friend contacts and networks that I already have.
So it's not like this magic platform, but it's actually just building relationships and trust, and it takes time.
Exactly.
What's the most moving story that you've seen, witnessed, saw since the Arab Spring began?
I mean, I think it was actually before the Arab Spring, but I think that the story of Khalid Said is really the one that touches me the most, because we saw someone who really sort of mobilized people to get involved in politics and to join the uprising in Egypt. And so I think that story and the way that social media and new media were used to make people aware of that story, that really was.
It's interesting with Khalid Said, and then with the grocer in Tunisia, and then also with the boy that was just supposedly tortured in Syria. It's social media, visual social media actually can be a huge catalyst in some of these regions where sometimes the protests disperse, and then there's something that focuses everybody on, and they get active again, and that's certainly happened with Khalid Said.
Right, and I think that the effect of visual social media is that you don't have that same language barrier across, and so it can really touch a larger number of people because of that.
Do you think the U.S. is doing enough to help freedom of expression in the Arab world?
It's a tough question. I mean, I think that we're not necessarily focusing on the right things, but I know that they're trying to make an effort. And so I think that really it just comes down to ensuring that they're listening to NGOs and civil society groups that are already working in this space.
Last question. 1 year from now, what do you hope the Middle East looks like?
I hope that the Middle East looks like whatever the people of the Middle East want it to look like, and what I'm hearing right now is democracy.
Jillian C. York with EFF. Thank you for joining us. This has been an iPhone Quick Take with VOA Middle East. Thanks.